Hello, everyone, and welcome to TEP Talks Professional Series, a groundbreaking new podcast dedicated to showcasing the diverse career journey and professional accomplishments of TEP alumni, brought to you by the TEP Foundation. I am your host, Stan Silverman, URI Class of 79, Tau Omega 402. It's my privilege to speak to TEP brothers across a wide spectrum of industries, gaining insights into their fields, advice for breaking in, and a realistic look at the day-to-day work behind some of the most impactful careers in the modern economy. Personally, I found so many of the brothers with whom I spoke to have such interesting stories. I'm sure that in addition to the educational benefit that you will gain from watching and listening to these professionals, the stories that they tell are just plain fascinating. So pick one, anyone, or pick them all. I'm certain that it'll be worth your while. Thank you and happy watching. Hello, everyone. Today, I have the privilege of speaking with Joseph Spadafino, NJIT, class of 76. Joseph is not only a civil engineer working in Arizona, but he's also a deacon in his local archdiocese. So without further ado, here we go.
In elementary school, I met a guy named Gary, and uh, we became fast friends because we were two of the shortest guys in the class, so we were always always together, it seemed. He eventually, in 1980, was it? He married my sister, so he was my
Okay.
brother-in-law. And sadly, he passed away in
Sorry.
2015, way too young, just a few months after his 60th birthday. But Gary has an older brother. And when I was in sixth grade, his older brother was going into Newark College of Engineering. And one of the questions was, when did you decide to go into my profession or something like that? I've always kind of been an engineer. Uh, my folks got me my first erector set probably when I was 6 or 7 years old. And I always wanted to design bridges. That never happened, but I did spend maybe I'm mixing things too far up. But anyway, like I said, in sixth grade, my brother's brother was my friend's brother was going into Newark College of Engineering, and that's basically when I decided I'm going to go there to college, and didn't do much about it other than I went through uh, 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 junior high school and then high school and applied and I got in.
What kind
And
of an engineer are you?
I am a civil engineer.
Okay.
I am a
So
licensed civil engineer in the state of Arizona and now in the state of Texas,
so
because my
that means
company,
you design roads and bridges and
well, the glamorous civil engineers do that. I'm a traffic engineer. So
okay.
I do studies to help, mostly to help developers to get their approvals to develop certain properties, with how they want to develop them, make sure that the traffic impacts, we do traffic impact analyses, make sure the traffic impacts can be accommodated on the roads, uh, either the existing roads or the roads that they have to help modify to expand them. So we would say, okay, we need a right turn lane here into this driveway, or tell them, no, you can't have a left turn lane because of the sight distance, or something like that. So it,
Do
it
you do those evil rotaries?
I don't design them. Uh, we've got a sub consultant that does that for us. He's become quite adept at that. Uh, we're doing a lot of them now. Jersey, New Jersey was a pioneer in traffic circles. They kind of had the right idea, but they there are better ways to do them than how they did them. As we discovered over the years. Because how many of them? I'm thinking of down toward the Jersey Shore, the that where they actually just kind of ran roads through them instead of getting rid of them, they just ran the roads through them, put a signal in the middle of it. So uh, But
I think the
and
feds
then
want them.
what's
I
that?
think I think the feds want them because they don't want people running their engines at red lights.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And not only that, I mean, now I know the city of Scottsdale out here, they've got some in neighborhoods, and they also there's one that they replaced the traffic signal by putting in a round. It's the proper term now would be roundabout, modern roundabout. See
Mm-hmm.
if you say modern in front of it, it makes it different. Nope.
Mm-hmm.
But it is. It flows very well. And yeah, where this was at the intersection of two half-mile streets out here because I don't know if you remember your history. You had the township and range system out west. Basically everything's on a 1 mile grid. And so there are half-mile streets that they're not as major as those along the miles, but they're busy enough where sometimes you have to put in traffic signals, you know, but you don't always need them. So, like I said, the city of Scottsdale put one in that I go through almost every day, and it works really well. And yeah, whereas I used to have to stop most of the time, at least for a few seconds, this time you basically can go all the way through, and it's on all directions. So anyway, but yeah, so we like those. But I've done. I started out here at the Arizona Department of Transportation in traffic engineering, uh, and I did a lot of crash analysis intersections that uh, they used to be called high accident locations, but that's kind of inflammatory. So I'm not sure what they call them nowadays, but that's what they called them when I was young. Uh, and so I spent 21 years at AZDOT and in different capacities. For almost a year, I was in the bridge design group, but all the glamorous bridges those were designed by consultants. In-house, they only designed basically freeway overpasses. So, and how they did those is they took out the old drawings, and this was before CAD, or just as CAD was just barely starting, but you used to take out the old drawings, erase what they didn't need, and then put in the new information. So it wasn't even that creative. So, but let me see. And in 1999, I moved into the private sector. Um, so, and it's been a little bit of a roller coaster since then. It was because of the private sector. I was laid off for a few months here and there, but I'm looking forward now maybe to retiring at the end of the year finally.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
But
and now
and I've
you're
been actually now been in the private sector years longer than I was at in the public sector at ADOT. So yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So and now you're a deacon.
I am.
Is
I am.
that a paid
Yep.
job or is that a volunteer job?
It's volunteer.
Okay.
Certain events I will get stipends, but it doesn't pay the bills, and that's okay. I mean, it's a labor of love, as they say, right? So and yeah, so I was ordained in November of 2002, and so it's more than 23 years now, and I'm assigned to my home parish. It's been my home parish for since 1992, and yeah, it's a wonderful vocation, and it'll give me something to do when I'm retired too.
So is
Right.
this something you had a calling for? Is how did this come about?
Um, well, when I returned to the church in 1984, at the parish I went to, there was a deacon there, and when I kind of got away from the church, there really weren't deacons because it was restored, I guess, in the early 1970s, and by then I had kind of gotten away from the church. And so when I returned, there was this older man who was the deacon, and I was surprising. He was just a wonderful older man. He died only last year, I think, 4 weeks shy of his 100th birthday.
Wow.
And yes, and I found out after he passed away that he was there when they raised the flag at Iwo Jima.
Wow.
His story is actually on YouTube. Deacon
Okay.
Oliver Babbitts, anyway. Um, but so he was a wonderful example, and so kind of put in my brain. Well, I think after I'm married and all, that might be something I want to do because if you can be a celibate deacon if you want, but I don't think that was in the cards for me at all. I don't think God called me to that. So, and
Okay.
we have 4 children, and you know, one who unfortunately passed away uh, in 2000, just actually 2002, shortly before I was ordained. Um, and then,
Sorry.
but one of the the blessings of being a deacon, I've baptized 2 of my grandchildren, and we've got a third on the way from my daughter, so I'll be baptizing him or her. So when we learn, yeah.
Congratulations.
So,
So,
oh
did you have a calling to become a deacon? Did you feel something within yourself that you wanted to be closer to God?
yes, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. That's probably um, what the great impetus behind it. And and then I had a few people say they thought I'd make a good deacon, which when somebody says that, you might have to want to consider that seriously. At least consider it. Period. So yeah.
For those of us who don't know, what does a deacon do?
Uh well, let me see. The word deacon comes from diakonos. It's a Greek word meaning service, servant. So yeah, I'm there to serve the bishop at the parish in which I'm assigned. So I do what needs to be done. As far as and obviously I have responsibility to my family first. You know, uh, well after God. you know, but and I definitely I will serve at wakes or funerals sometimes. Not so many funerals because I'm still working full time, and those are usually 10 o'clock in the morning. Uh, but wakes are usually in the evening, so I can serve at those. We'll just a couple of weeks ago, or yeah, the week before last, we uh, commended a, a family's father-in-law buried his ashes. Okay,
Okay.
so we take care of some of those duties that the priests uh, they're always so busy, so we're able to do that, and we do that. Like I said, and I can baptize babies, not babies, toddlers, but nobody, and no person over maybe the age of 7 or 8. So, but so and then there are other deacons. I like I said, because I have been working, I don't get much involved in some of the uh, marriage prep or baptism prep. I'm an engineer for a reason because I can't teach. Yeah, I don't do well in that kind of environment. I like to
Okay.
get down and do my little calculations, and I'm fine with that. And maybe trying to help somebody guide. We've got to guide them along uh, in learning how to do that, and because traffic engineering in and of itself is kind of an art as well as a science because uh, everybody drives as a traffic engineer. We understand that, but we have to make it so people. So what we do, so when you're on the road, you understand what's happening. Um, Sometimes I remember seeing some signs, especially out on Long Island, tiny little sign like this, JFK this way. Well, you're in the third lane over, where was the advanced signing?
Okay. Going back to deaconing for 1 minute.
Yeah.
So, children go for CCD, correct?
Uh, it's kind of different now. We had a Montessori-based program for a long time, but now we've got a family-based catechesis, they call it. So uh, I have I haven't well I kind of assisted at one of the in one of the fifth grade classes. Uh, excuse me, and uh, this was back in about more than 20 years ago now. My wife was a catechist. It's called the Atrium of the Little Flower, and it's the Catechesis of the Good Shepherd. Good Shepherd, it's called. And like I said, it's a Montessori based and very physical as far as they have little characters that they arrange, little mass sets so they can pretend they're saying mass with the priest and that kind of thing. It's very nice. But and the CCD as I knew it is, I think, pretty much long gone. Where we would just go after school one day a week, uh, kind of like shul, right? Yeah,
Well,
you know. Um,
a
but
friend of mine is, are you a lay person?
no, no, I am ordained.
Okay, a friend of mine is a lay person
Uh-huh.
and he works at, I don't know where, but he does religious instruction. I
Okay.
think he works more on the history side
Oh,
of it. So
yeah.
so I'm sure that some of the deacons, that may not be your skill set. So some of the
Right.
deacons may work in an instructional.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay,
Yes. Uh-huh. Um,
okay.
yeah.
So all right. So now moving on to the engineering. Uh,
Okay.
so you joined TEP at school.
Yes. Newark College of Engineering, the fall of 72, FOST. We always called ourselves FOST, FOST, and the brothers had no idea. That just stood for fall of 72.
When did you graduate?
May 1976. So I've got a 50-year reunion coming up that I'm not sure I'm going to be able to get to, but
So
yeah.
it'll be an experience for you.
Yeah, well, and it's unfortunate though because also because of some of my I lost two. I've lost at least two of my pledge brothers. One was at the Twin Towers.
Oh, sorry,
Yeah, he
sorry.
never graduated, but he was still my pledge brother. And then another one, uh, I found out years later he passed away. I don't know, undergoing some medical procedure or something. I don't know. Uh, so and most of the guys, most of the other students in my class, if they weren't in the fraternity, I really didn't know a lot of them that well. It's just college kind of gets like that sometimes, especially in engineering school. You're trying to buckle down and get through it. So.
Yes. Did you get a master's?
No, I didn't. Oh, I got a mess. I did receive a. I needed something to do when I moved out to Arizona because 1976 through 78, it was kind of lean years. So I decided, well, I'm going to move out to Arizona because number one, I didn't like Jersey winters,
Right.
and I thought I could further my education, and I did get an MBA out here at Arizona State,
Okay.
ASU. Um, so I do have a master's. I guess it looks good on the resume, uh, but I haven't. I don't know if I've really put it to good use. But what can I tell you? Uh, I went through that. I graduated from there in May of 1981. But actually, shortly after I moved out here in January 1978. I arrived on Super Bowl Sunday, which at that time was in the middle of January, not the middle of February.
Right.
But
Right.
uh, I started applying for jobs, and like I said, I started working for the Arizona DOT beginning of June. So, and I mean, I don't know that I would have chosen transportation engineering, but that's what was open, and that's kind of the direction I went. So, and I have not been disappointed. It's uh, gets aggravating sometimes, but sometimes it's some of the people, clients we have to deal with, some of the people in the agencies we have to deal with. But it's been a good life. It's supported me and my wife and the family. So
Good.
yeah,
So
uh,
you moved out there. You met your wife in Jersey or in Arizona?
in Arizona, we got married in 1989. So I was out here. Yeah, in order to have a family out here, I had to marry somebody.
Okay.
Yeah, because
Sure.
all my family was back in New York and New Jersey for the most part.
Okay.
So
If we have time, I want to discuss those three-way stop signs that I absolutely hate. I'm never sure that the guy on my right, that I have the right of way. It
yeah,
really is scary.
yeah. Now my understanding is years ago when they determined how do you operate with a all-way stop or three-way stop, and I think they decided that the person on the right should go. And
In
I
the
think that's in
three-way
some of
stop,
the
in the
some
intersection I'm talking about, one street does not have a stop sign, and then the other three do.
oh
And I'm
yeah,
always nervous that
oh
one of
yeah,
the guys with the stop sign doesn't understand that I do not have a stop sign.
oh okay, yeah. I've seen that at mall entrances.
That's where it is.
Yeah. Okay. If that's a private property, I mean, and you need to understand that the mall people they want people to get in. They don't want, and the people that work for the city or the town, whatever, they don't want people to come into the mall and have them queuing back onto the street.
Okay.
So they say, okay, so leave this uncontrolled. Okay, but yeah, so that's the way they do it. Uh,
Okay.
yeah.
It's a good thing I
Um,
ran into you. Not with my car, of course.
yes. But and when you take the driver's license test and all that, if they tell, I think one of the questions sometimes is often is, okay, if you're at an all-way stop, who goes first? It's the person on the right. Well, at a roundabout, it's the person on the left who has the right of way. Who's if you're approaching and somebody's in that roundabout, you have to yield to them. And
Yes.
they're always coming from the left. Unless you're in
Yes.
England, but that's not here.
That's going to totally confuse me.
Yes.
So,
You know,
did your fraternity brothers have anything to do with your introduction into either of your careers?
no, I don't think so. Well, I was chaplain for a year
Okay.
of the fraternity,
Okay.
so maybe that was part of it.
Okay.
I'm the only one who had been to church within 5 years, I think. So
Okay.
yeah. But as far as helping me get a job or anything no, not really. But I did meet out here, and for the life of me, I can't remember what his last name is, but because it's been a long time since I've seen him, probably almost 20 years. Um, a guy named Bob. He was a TEP from Newark College of Engineering. So, uh, you know, and anyway, and he was also in the transportation industry. He worked as a traffic engineer for the city of Phoenix. Um,
Okay.
he didn't do design. I think he did more. He didn't do studies like I do. He did a lot of practical stuff, working, in the field and making sure signing was correct, the roads were designed properly, et cetera, et cetera. I don't know exactly what he was. Then I know he moved over to the city of Chandler after he retired from Phoenix. So I lost track of him there. So, but
Okay. So what have the highlights been of either of your two careers?
oh, it's, the my you mean deaconing?
Yes.
Highlight, of course, was baptizing my grandson.
Okay.
The first one. The second one
Okay.
was almost as good, but that first one, my sister said, "I never saw you look so happy."
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. So, and but yeah, so those are the highlights of that. As far as just as far as my engineering career, um, uh, sealing some studies for Texas, that's been a highlight. That's only in the past 4 or 5 years now, since we decided to try to do work in Texas, and then but also just surviving for this long in the industry too. Uh, through thick and thin. Uh, I think I've got a fairly good reputation amongst most of my clients and a lot of my colleagues. So I think that's a good thing. Uh,
Sure.
yeah. And I mean, just every time a project gets approved, I'm thrilled because like some of them take very long to get, and then I'll drive around town, and my wife probably gets tired of it, but yeah, I did this study for that development there. I did a study for that development there. There's an arterial street in the town of Gilbert here that I did. I don't know, 4 or 5 developments, between these two north-south streets. This is east-west street, and I did a lot of stuff on that street.
Is Arizona more planned because it's flat and the streets are more parallel
On a
and
grid pattern.
perpendicular, more grid-like?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's like I said, it was the township and range system where that they developed. We have a street here, Baseline Road. Well, that separates Baseline Road separates North Arizona from South Arizona.
Okay.
Okay, and so yeah, so Township 1 North, Range, and 115th Avenue, is it? Yeah, 115th Avenue. It's actually now it's called Avondale Boulevard. That is the east-west. So where those two meet, yeah, you got the northeast, northwest, southeast, southwest. Um, and like yeah, I mean, it's one of the to me, it's one of the easiest places to get around once you know a few basic things, because uh, there's a few uh, local jurisdictions that have their own numbering scheme, but most of the valley is all on the same numbering scheme. So
Okay.
Central Avenue in Phoenix, that's the zero block. You get 7th Avenue and 7th Street, half mile either way. And then you go out 19th Avenue, 16th Street, you going out that way. Yeah, it's real easy to get around.
Well, that's
Camelback
good.
Road is the 5,000 block north. If you've heard
Oh,
of Camelback Road, probably somewhere. No, no. Okay,
no.
that's the Camelback corridor is a busy commercial corridor, and a lot of companies like to have their address on Camelback Road. So you've got tall buildings, not like Manhattan, but it's getting there. You had asked questions about salary somewhere along the way too.
Okay, go with
Uh,
that. So you
um,
told me that being a deacon is a volunteer
yeah,
position. So being an engineer, what kind of a salary could one expect upon graduation from college?
I'm not really sure, but I would say 75 to 80K.
Okay. And then,
Probably about that. Because we have interns who are summer help, right? And they're making $20 an hour, or more,
okay.
So it's got to be at least, probably close to double that. That's all. And depending on the size of the company and all, I mean, you could probably um, top out at maybe 150 or 200.
How long does it take to top out?
Uh, Probably 8 to 10 years or so.
Okay.
Because you see advertisements, we get job listings and stuff like that, senior engineer, 8 to 10 years experience, whatever. So, uh, and my boss has been very good to me. This is, I don't know if you'll find this unusual or not, but basically since 2000, since moving to the private sector, um, for the most part, my immediate supervisors or bosses have been two women, and uh, and they've been wonderful to me. So, and the first woman, she's still in the industry. She wasn't the owner; she was just the supervisor, in charge of her traffic engineering department or studies department. And then the boss, the young lady I work for now, she owns the company. She started the company, I think, in 2002, um, when she didn't think she was on maternity leave or something, and she didn't think the people she left behind in the office were taking care of her clients properly. So she started her own company. And in 2005, she hired me as her first full-time employee engineer. Uh, so, so there were some lean years in there, 2009 to 2013, but where had to get laid off. Uh, uh, that was the Great Depression or Great Recession, excuse me, not depression, the Great
Yes,
Recession.
yes.
Um, but when I had the opportunity to go back, I did. It's been wonderful working for her. I've worked almost 18, 19 years for her now over the
Can I
course of
make
time.
the assumption that working in the private sector pays better than the public sector?
Yes, yeah, definitely. I mean, when I went from ADOT to the private sector, uh, this was in 1999, I got a $10,000 a year raise.
Okay.
Yeah. And the now at that time, okay, typically the state had a salary schedule. Okay. And at the time I was leaving, they were uncovering engineering positions. So this way, it means you didn't have the protection of civil servants.
Oh,
You could make your own deal, that meant. But also that meant you served at the pleasure of whoever you worked for, basically, you know. And when you go up, eventually that is means you worked somehow for the governor who hired these people, who hired these people, da, 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 da. So I mean, it didn't mean there was when they did switch over, it didn't really make a whole lot of difference. I have no idea what it's like now. It's 25 plus years later, but it's not like suddenly, oh, hey, we can now. This guy took the package. We can now get rid of him if they wanted to. I don't know how that worked, but yeah.
do they have pensions in Arizona for
Uh,
public sector workers?
yes, yeah, definitely. There's the Arizona State Retirement System. I get a little bit of a check every month from that because I started getting that when I turned 50.
Okay.
I could have waited. It would have been bigger, but uh, I decided to take it at 50. Uh,
Okay.
yeah,
It's
and
it's a math equation.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, I've been collecting for 21 plus years now.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
you know.
So once you top out at 150, the word top means that unless you own your own firm,
Oh,
that's it.
yeah, yeah.
Correct?
Well, yeah. I've been getting a little bit of a bump each year, cost of living. That's it,
Right. Okay.
So, yeah.
What are the
Now, as I explained, I'm a details guy. I like to do my work at my desk. I know that uh, I had another colleague. He brought a lot of business in, So I know he got paid a lot more than I did
Hmm.
because he was bringing it in and making sure the business went out, all the projects went out and all that kind of stuff. So, and I understand that. So, uh, but
Okay. I know so he was more in he was on both ends. He was in the sales and then
yep,
he
yeah,
produced the product.
yes, yeah.
So so now one of these undergraduates says, "That sounds cool. I want to go be an engineer." What are his job prospects?
I
Will he
think
find a job?
yeah, no, they're pretty, I think it's pretty good. Number one, because engineers, if you want to be an engineer, eventually you're going to have to get licensed and the work has to be done locally. So there's only so much work that could be uh, outsourced, I guess you say, out of the country even.
Right.
Evidently, the people we subcontract folks to do traffic counting for us. Well, what they do, my understanding is what they do is they set out video cameras at intersections or wherever, uh, and once the camera comes back in, they just upload the video to a site, and it's processed in India or someplace like that. That's what we can do. But uh, I did work for 3.5 years. I worked for a young man who's originally from India. He's an American citizen by now. Uh, he tried opening an office in India, and it's like they didn't really want to do business with him. Uh, I'm not sure why. Uh, maybe because they felt that, he left the motherland or the fatherland, whatever, and well, uh, because he thought if he had some good quality people there, and you see qualified people from India, from Pakistan, from Sri Lanka, all over the place, here, right? So we know that they're very capable of doing the work. And, I mean, they graduate so many engineers every year from their big engineering schools, and many of them make their way here. Uh, you know, uh, but he couldn't crack that nut over there for some reason. Uh, but he actually moved his family there for a couple of years because his kids had never um, his children were born here. So this way they got to be near their grandparents for a couple of years and learn what it was like to grow up in India. So,
Okay.
but yeah,
So they don't count cars with those black hoses that the car goes over and it
yes,
counts the wheels or something.
yep, yes, it does. Yeah.
So they use cameras as opposed to those, or they use
Well,
both.
the hose counts, they do use hose counts when they just want to know how many cars a day are on a particular road, basically.
Okay.
The cameras, we want to know how many people are turning left, turning right,
Okay.
turning left, turning right. I did the wrong hands, but yeah, how many are going
It's
through?
backwards on video anyway.
Yeah,
Okay. All right. So it's a
yeah,
different detail.
different details. Right, right.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
They can even record 24 hours of turning movements. They call them turning movement counts. And I have no idea how they do that. If it's, uh, I don't know how they have 24 hours of video. I didn't know batteries that last that long on these cameras, but anyway, somehow, right? But I leave those details up to the professionals. I
Okay.
just want to see the information.
Oh, you just want to use the data.
That's right.
Okay. Did you make a mistake in either your deaconship or your engineering where it was either a challenge and you said, I got to beat this challenge, or you made a mistake and you said, I'm never going to do that again, or anything of that ilk?
Yeah, yeah. My daughter lives not far from me, up the street from where she lives, up the arterial street. They're building an apartment complex now. I did the study for that apartment complex, and we were trying to save a little money by not having to There's pavement there for where they could put two left turn lanes into the side street. Okay. Except the side street's only one lane wide outbound. What we call the departure lane.
Okay.
And I said, oh, we don't need to extend the turn lane and cost you money. We'll just use both turn lanes. We'll restripe it, which is cheap relatively to the actual hardscape construction. Well, I had to admit to my client, I made a rookie mistake. I said, I got two lanes going into one. That doesn't work. So eventually, and I said, yes, it's a rookie mistake. I made that, and they accepted it, and they did, and like it's almost done now, so no hard feelings, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. That's one thing I learned a long time ago. When it's obvious, don't try to deny it. It's better you just fess up and say, hey, I screwed up, you know, and yeah, it costs them some more money, but you know, anyway, the way they pencil these things out, they call it penciling them out. You know, they, I sat in a meeting once. It's a project we never got, but the developer was talking about, yeah, we got to have 20% profit margin, right? Well, at the beginning, you have to have 20% because you're never going to get it. By the time everything is done and said, if you get 5% or 6%, you're doing well. And that it took me a long time to understand that. But yeah, that's the kind of thing that happens. Yeah, you say, yeah, these unexpected expenses.
Sure, you have to live and learn and
Yep.
adapt.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah.
People make mistakes,
Yep. Yeah.
but you're right. Don't stonewall me. Just say, I'm sorry, I messed up. Let's fix it.
Right. Right. We always have new people coming into the industry. It's wonderful to see these young people coming up. We have a young lady working for us now that a couple 3 years ago she was on a phone call with her grandmother because it was her grandmother's birthday, and I was older than her grandmother. So I'm much older than some of them, some of their grandparents and parents now. So, but I am, I just, it's been a wonderful life, I think, like I said, I do get aggravated over sometimes some of the things we do, when you have to make 7 submittals before you get an approval, it's like, that's crazy, Why didn't you make these comments the first time around? We would have addressed them all anyway.
You're right.
Yeah.
Here's the document. Here's the plan.
Hmm.
Please make all the criticisms at once.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
each time I redraw it, it's time and money that could have all been done at once.
Yeah. Yeah. And I warn my clients too. I caution my clients. I say, look, you want me to reword this just as long as you understand that as soon as I start rewording it, that's something else they can comment on.
Yeah.
You know, they were kind of okay with it the first time. Now that I'm changing it, they may not like that, you know. And that, it, uh, the old expression, time is money. Yeah. If this gets delayed, wow, yeah. So
Yeah, you've reopened that can now,
yeah,
and they have the
yeah,
right to criticize a change.
right, exactly. But like I said, we rejoice whenever we get an approval.
Sure,
So, yeah.
sure. Do you have a lot of townies saying no? You're putting more traffic on my street, or what about the one-eyed guppies that live in that pond? Or do you have a lot of that kind of stuff going on?
Um, for major projects, they do obviously environmental impact statements. The Arizona DOT is real good at that. I'm not sure what they do in the local governments. Uh, as far as that. I mean, if I guess if there's federal funding involved, uh, they have to go through all of the steps, the necessary steps. Um, and all of the major cities and have general plans. They're required to, excuse me, have general plans. So they have got a pretty good idea of how they would like areas to develop and all that, because there's still a lot of areas um, in these cities and towns that are undeveloped. Tempe is where Arizona State is. They're pretty much landlocked. So they're in their downtown area, they're going up. If you go on to Google Earth, the street view, you can see all the buildings in Tempe that are going. They're up. I mean, not super high. They're going up 22, 24 stories, some of them. But that's about it. Not Manhattan, 100 stories or anything like that. But still, for out here, it's quite densely populated. Um, but so I did have we had there's a town. I don't know if you ever heard of Cave Creek. There are two towns on the northern edge of the Valley of the Sun. Cave Creek and Carefree. Carefree has like anyway. Carefree is carefree lifestyle. I think that's why they call it Carefree. Um, they have Easy Street in Carefree. That's what they call
Is
it.
this an adult 55 community?
No, no, no.
Okay.
It's there is one of those. It's called Youngtown, ironically. Anyway, Youngtown on the northwest side of the valley. It's an age-restricted community. But in Cave Creek, there's this little Morning Star Lane or something like that. It was a little unpaved road. They wanted to pave it because it's unpaved. So when people are out there, it starts kicking up dust, and dust is a pollution, a pollutant, right? So the company I was working for, the company that owned by the man from India, um, he, they were going to start. We started to design the new road. Well, it was going to be some federal money paying for it. Well, we spent a third of that money and we hadn't even gotten through the design process yet. They eventually had to just abandon it because we got paid, fortunately, but they had to abandon because the requirements, there was a couple little dips. Well, you couldn't just leave the dips. You had to make them culverts or something. And then if you had to make them culverts, it had to be this and this. It became just a real mess. So I think they used the money for something else. Uh, it sometimes the requirements are burdensome, let's say.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, but
I had an employee who lived in Arizona for a while, and she had the heat pumps, right? Instead
yes,
of air conditioning.
yes,
How
yep.
does that work?
Heat pumps are good down to around, I think, 20 degrees.
Okay.
Somehow extracts heat out of the cold air, and you're able to do that. And then in the summertime, uh, it kind of something reverses, and it becomes, it's the opposite. Must take the heat out of the inside air and put it outside. Yeah, but yeah,
So that 22-story building and heat rises. So there are a lot of places that don't build 2-story houses because the second story would be too hot. So isn't a 22-story building, aren't the top floors going to be really hot?
I don't know. I
Okay.
would, yeah, I don't know. Of course, have you heard of anything? Have you heard of something called LEED, LEED? You'll
No.
see architects say LEED certified, and this is a way to design that reduces energy consumption. You've got maybe you have double or triple paned windows, maybe some shading on those windows or tinting. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not lead certified, so I don't know how they do it. But that I know this is it sounds crazy, but there was a building that we just did a study for, 11-story building on 44th Street in Phoenix, and they were going to tear the building down and build another 11-story building. And it was cheaper to tear it down than to retrofit it.
Wow.
Yeah. So, to retrofit it to be to today's standards and energy efficient and all that. So,
There were some build. I went to University of Rhode Island, and there were some buildings that the windows didn't open, the walls were made out of something. So I understand what you're talking about with this lead stuff. God forbid there's a fire in one of those rooms. You're not
right.
getting out.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
I think some of them had no windows. I
right.
don't remember. I think it was all the lighting was just done with fluorescent lights.
Could be. I know they look like prisons, unfortunately, sometimes.
Yes.
A little dinky uh, hole that you can, if you have to, you can force it out with your rifle and then you can defend it, right? Right
Most of
through a
the
window.
building was underground, and then there
Yeah.
was a little piece that was above the ground.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
And
think
one of the things about traffic engineering, transportation engineering, I mean, transportation includes, designing roads and all that kind of stuff. But what I do in studies about the most difficult mathematical equations I deal with are logarithmic. That's it. I don't have to deal with it with differential equations or any of that stuff.
okay.
Natural logs. That's it.
I'm sorry. I'm only a business major,
Yeah.
so could you please explain logarithms?
Oh, that it's well, I can't. That's why that's why I'm glad. I mean, I know how to get results with them, but I don't have to do anything other than plug and chug. Plug the numbers in.
Okay.
If you ever seen the little E, that's natural. It's a sign for natural log, and it's not, and I'm not exactly sure what it means, but it's been 50 years. All right, I just know that most of my equations are A equals B or C equals A plus B, or AX plus B equals C. Most of my equations are like that. And that I can do.
So is this one of these professions where getting the degree, going through college is this difficult, but doing the job is sort of this difficult?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. Um, Basically, when you go to college, you get to demonstrate how much you can do. And once you've gotten your first job, after a couple of years, nobody cares where you went to college.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So could you have gotten this job and been able to perform this job at the level that you do now if you had gone to a community college for 2 years and then gone to um I don't know how many schools are in the Arizona State University system, but and
Um, well, actually, that's what my daughter did. She
okay,
went to the community college for a couple of years, and then it took her 3 years to get out of ASU only because she got delayed in getting matriculated for her first semester, and a class she needed was full, so that kind of dragged things out. But she ended up graduating summa cum laude.
wow, that's great.
Yeah, I know, and it's amazing how quickly she made the transition from chemical engineer, which we civil engineers, we looked up to those chemical engineers. They were the guys that, wow, you know, the people. I can't say guys. They were the people that, you know, I don't know how they did it. Uh, we considered us above the industrial engineers, but we knew we were not near the structural or the chemical engineers. we wouldn't touch that. But anyway, she went from a project manager and a chemical engineer to mother so quickly. It's wonderful. But it was wonderful. I mean, she's just the best mom.
Oh, that's
But where
great.
was I? Yeah. So as far as
You can brag a little bit.
for
But we
that,
were talking about um, whether school is much harder than actually doing the job.
I think so. I think so. Uh, and one thing one of the things I was thinking about, I in as an engineer in the state of Arizona, and I think it's pretty much they've now, with the advent of computers and all the internet and all this kind of stuff, all of our young people are registering with some kind of NCEES or something. I don't remember what it all stands for. National something engineering. You can so this way, because a lot of states have the same requirements for civil engineers. Okay, so they can obtain their license in another state more quickly because they're registered with this NCEES. Okay, so it's a national registration. Too late for me. When I registered in Texas, I just went through all the paperwork formally. You don't need to have the college education in order to take the uh, what they call the fundamentals of engineering exam, and then the professional engineers exam. Okay, if you have 8 years of experience, you can do that. Okay, now and what they do is they say, well, if you've got a 4-year degree, 4 of those 8 years uh, can be your college years. Because I knew a guy that he took his test 3 or 4 times, but he finally passed it, but he never actually went to college, uh, or he didn't go to engineering school, whatever. And so it can be done. And we've got a young woman who's trying to do that now. She started with us as an intern in 2005, and she's still there, and she's like my boss's right hand woman. Um, she's been there through thick and thin with her. I got laid off. She didn't get laid off, that kind of thing. I mean, she was that important, and she's learned so much and she can do so much. Uh, and so you don't necessarily have to have a college degree, but it sure makes it easier, I think.
Okay, is the engineer um, is that exam? Can you pass parts of it, or do you have to pass the whole thing all at once?
You have to take, it's a 2 1-day exams. Okay. When I was able to take it, I took them 2 days in a row. Nowadays, you have to take the fundamentals of engineering, and then after you pass that, you can take your professional engineer's exam. Uh, I was blessed and lucky, and I got to pass all what at the time they considered it 4 parts: the morning, the afternoon, morning, and the afternoon. And I passed all 4 parts, so I got my engineer's license right away. Uh, well, it was 7.5 years after college, so that my daughter, she was smart. She took her fundamentals of engineering in her last semester of college. She passed it. So she's an EIT, engineer in training, and
Okay.
she doesn't, as a chemical engineer, she worked for a private company. She doesn't need to seal anything, so she didn't need to become a professional engineer. But
Yeah, I would think that the first exam, while your skills are fresher and
yeah,
sharper, it would be a smarter way to do that.
yes, yeah.
Excuse me.
And I was just not smart. What can I tell you?
Well,
But
you didn't know. Some,
yeah,
sometimes it's a matter of getting it the right advice from the right person.
yeah. You
It's
have
been
any
a
final
pleasure,
thoughts? Yes, thank you so much. It's been a wonderful time talking with you.
and I thank you for taking the time, and I wish you the best in
Thank
all
you.
of your future endeavors.
You too. All right. Yeah, all right, you take care. Sell that jewelry or whatever you do.
I'm retired now. Thank you,
Oh,
Joe.
good for you. Okay, thank you. Right.
Bye bye.
Stan, bye.